He struck him. A clenched fist, full force, landed clean on the guard's cheek. The sound cracked across the stone courtyard. Blood bloomed down the white strap of his collar. Tourists gasped. A child froze mid-step. But the guard did nothing. He didn't flinch, didn't raise a hand, didn't even blink. Only his gloved fingers twitched. Once, then stilled. And just for a moment, his eyes closed. But not from pain. From something no one around him could name. The courtyard did not breathe. A pigeon's wing fluttered, then stopped mid-beat. The man who threw the punch stepped back, half proud, half unsure. Tourists murmured. Some pulled out phones. Others looked away, ashamed of watching, yet unable to stop. A woman whispered, "Why doesn't he do something?" A boy clutched his father's sleeve. The father said nothing. The guard remained still. Blood trailed down his jaw, caught in the crease of his glove. But he didn't wipe it. Didn't even seem to notice. One step away, the attacker shifted his weight again. Mocking now, louder, bolder. Behind the crowd, an older man, ex-military by his stance, straightened up. His eyes narrowed, not at the attacker, but at the guard's boots, and how they hadn't moved an inch. Something was wrong. Not in the violence. In the silence that followed. A silence too steady, as if rehearsed. He had felt this weight once before. In Helmand, on a night without stars. When the radio in his hand pulsed faintly, but he did not reach. The tent was silent. Only the soft clicking of encrypted signals. And one breath, his own, held too long. 14 seconds. That was all it was. A voice. Barely. A name. Almost. Then static. Then nothing. He folded the log sheet. Did not write it down. Did not speak. Protocol, they'd said. 3 caskets came home. One carried the man who once dragged him from rubble, calling him brother, with half a lung left. Alaric stood at the funeral. Uniform pressed, shoulders straight, eyes forward, mouth closed. Like now. Blood dries quickly in desert air. But some silences. Never leave your hands. Phones rose. Fingers tapped screens in silence. The sound of recording, soft, metallic, spread like static in church air. Someone whispered, "He didn't even move." Another voice, sharper, "Maybe he's not allowed to." Then laughter, thin, nervous, quick to vanish. Alaric remained, still. The blood on his cheek no longer fresh, only red, only there. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows from the railings. His own shadow reached the boots of the man who hit him, but he didn't step back. A woman in a yellow coat lowered her phone. Her eyes lingered, not in judgment, but confusion, like watching a statue blink. And at the far edge of the crowd, a little girl gripped a bear missing one ear. She didn't speak, didn't move, just held it tighter, as if silence, too, could bruise. A breeze passed, software almost apologetic. It lifted the edge of his white glove. And then, something odd. Just beneath the seam of the cuff, a thread of black stitching. Not regulation, not uniform. It formed a shape, faint, worn, like a name once sewn, then removed. Not his. Alaric didn't move, but his fingers curled, slightly, around something in his palm. Leather, frayed at the edge. A tag, folded, small, too small to see clearly. The kind they used to pin on body bags. He didn't drop it, didn't show it, only held it, tighter, like a memory he wasn't ready to give back. The little girl blinked, as if sensing something sacred had just passed between 2 gloved fingers. But no one else saw, no one else looked. And the tag remained hidden. A voice broke the stillness. Do something, for God's sake! It came from the edge of the crowd, young, raw, cracked with disbelief. Someone shoved. Another reached to block a phone. A scuffle, not violent, but loud, rippled through the tourists like a fault line. The man who threw the punch now paced, back and forth, his breathing louder than words, mocking, then unsure, then frightened. Beatrix clutched her bear tighter. Her eyes didn't blink, not once. Alaric stood still. But a change had begun, not in his posture, but in his glove. The fingers, once clenched, began to spread. Not open, not closed, just letting go. And in that gap, a slip of white fabric peeked from the leather fold. Someone in the crowd whispered, "What is that?" But no one moved to ask. And Alaric still hadn't spoken a word. The slip of fabric finally fell. It landed near his boot, barely touched the stone. A hand reached down. Not his. The old man with medals on his chest. He picked it up, slowly, unfolded it. Eyes narrowed, breath held. It wasn't a tag. It was a name patch, frayed, sand-stained, not Alaric's. A different name, faded by time, still legible. C.J. Hargrove. The veteran stood still, then nodded. He didn't say a word. He simply stepped back and saluted. Beatrix looked up at the old man, then at Alaric, then back again. Her bear dropped. No one else understood. But something shifted, like the weight of memory passed between generations without a sound. Alaric remained motionless, but in his stillness, the entire courtyard lowered its gaze. Dust hung in the air like breath held too long. Helmand, 2008. The radio crackled, soft, then stopped. Smoke curled through the slit of a canvas tent. Alaric crouched by the field stretcher. His hands, gloved then, too, pressed hard against torn fabric. Too much blood. Too fast. The name tag on the wounded soldier's chest. C.J. Hargrove. Eyes wide, not in fear, but in recognition. A mouth moved. No sound. Just lips forming two syllables. Don't. Don't speak. Don't tell. Don't carry it forward. A hand reached up, gripped Alaric's forearm, then slipped. A stillness followed that never left. Outside, the desert wind dragged silence through barbed wire. Orders came in. The radio blinked. Alaric didn't respond. He folded the name patch, slid it under his glove, and from that moment, every silence he chose was for the voice that never finished its last word. He moved. Not much, just enough. His right hand, still blood-stained at the cuff, opened, palm facing down. Then slowly, deliberately, lowered. It touched the cold stone beside his boot, and left behind the name patch. Folded once, face down. The gesture was quiet, but something in it unlocked the air. The pacing man stopped, mid-step. A phone wobbled in someone's hand, then lowered. No one spoke. No one dared. Alaric didn't look at anyone, didn't blink. His spine straightened once more, inch by inch, as if resetting a line that had bent long ago. Beatrix stepped forward. Just one pace. She bent down, picked up the bear she had dropped, and hugged it close. Across the courtyard, every voice fell silent. Not from fear, but from knowing they had seen something that didn't ask to be seen. The wind stilled. Even the flag above the gate seemed to hesitate. No one moved. No one spoke. A woman lowered her phone, not out of shame, but reverence. A man in a suit took one step back, then stopped, as if afraid his shoes might break the silence. The child clutched her bear again. Not tighter, just closer. The air changed, thicker, as though the stone itself had absorbed something irreversible. An officer near the gate straightened his coat. Not to speak, just to stand differently, straight, And behind the railings, an old man took off his cap, held it to his chest, eyes low. No command was given, no signal passed. Yet every person, every shadow, every breath folded into stillness, as if the world itself had been asked to lower its gaze. A gull passed overhead, its shadow gliding across his boots. He didn't move, not even to blink. The breeze caught the edge of his tunic. It fluttered once, then stilled, like a flag finally at half-mast. The girl with the toy stepped back from the rail. Her hand didn't wave, just rested gently on her heart. Behind her, the crowd began to breathe again, but not louder, not freer, just changed. No one dared cross the yellow rope, not because they couldn't, but because they understood that something had been held there and released. He remained, facing forward, tear now dried, but the trace still there, a figure unmoving, a silence still speaking, no justice declared, no apology asked, only a choice that needed no defense. Or maybe he simply chose to stand so we would no longer forget how. Perhaps you've known someone like that. The one who doesn't speak when accused, doesn't fight back when mocked, who simply stands there, letting the noise pass through them like wind through an old coat. When we're young, we think strength is loud, to argue, to defend, to win. But as we grow older, we begin to see it differently. Strength sometimes is in choosing not to strike back. It's in lowering your eyes, in letting silence say what pride cannot. It's in realizing that winning an argument may cost you something softer, something you can't get back. There are moments when dignity doesn't look like victory. It looks like stillness. And the people who walk away without a word, they're not weak. They've just seen what conflict does to the soul and chosen not to add to it. Because some truths don't need to be shouted. They just need to be lived quietly. So the next time you see someone choosing silence, perhaps they're not giving in. Perhaps they're holding the line for all of us.